Let's study Matthew chapter 5 together.
Chapter 5. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into the mountain. And when he had sat down, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
So, since he had a huge following of people after he had been healing them of their all sorts of sicknesses and demon possessions, he took the opportunity to go up on a mountain and speak down to them, to give them some advice. I don't really view this as the new 10 Commandments or the new list of rules for the new law. I really view it more as a deeper and better understanding of the old law. Because the Jews, the scribes and Pharisees, had become extremely legalistic, and they would only look at what the legal requirement of the law was, but they would not understand the purpose behind it. And I believe Jesus is explaining the purpose, the real meaning that would get to the heart, not to lift yourself up and to glorify yourself and pat yourself on the back for being the leader of the Jews and being the most religious person on the planet, but all these things about how we should humble ourselves. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What kind of person, what kind of attitude makes up the kind of people that Jesus wants us to be? Blessed are those that mourn, for they will be comforted, and so on.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that hunger.
Now, inheriting the earth confuses me a little bit. I generally view the earth as something that will be done away with at some point in our future. I don't think it will last forever. I don't think it's our final destination. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So I welcome your comments on that one.
Hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are they that have been persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you, and men shall reproach you, and persecute you, and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets that were before you.
So again, all this stuff seems to be pointing to having a humble spirit, accepting persecution and hardship faithfully and positively. It says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad when people revile you and persecute you falsely for my name's sake. So just quietly go about living your life the way God wants you to live your life. There will be all sorts of opposition, but you trust in God and have a positive attitude about it.
Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men.
So as for the salt, I'm not sure, is he saying all people are salt, the salt of the earth? The reason that God even is pleased by the earth at all is because there are people that make it favorable to him. He's not attached to the material, physical dirt and trees and animals, but people are the thing that makes the earth special, the thing that gives God pleasure. And there are some people who lose their savor. They lose their value in order to do what God intends for us to do. There are some that do not provide that value, and then they are good for nothing but to be cast out.
Do men light a lamp and put it under the bushel, but on the stand, and it shineth unto all that are in the house? Even so let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven.
So here I think it's important to point out that when we do good works, God should be the one that receives the glory for it. Other people ought to naturally see that God is the beneficiary or the one who is worthy of praise and credit for anything that we do. If we do anything and people naturally have the tendency to give us the praise for it or to give you the glory, to say, wow, you did a great job at that, or you've done so many good works and you've done this and you've done that, well, something's wrong. Part of it could be that you did it and you made a mistake in how you did it, and part of it could be on the mistake of the other who interpreted it wrong. But you have to be very careful that everything you do, you give God glory for it, and give God the credit for it, and not accept praise for the good things that you do, or else you're doing it wrong.
Think not that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill.
And again, this not destroying the law but fulfilling, this speaks back to like the Beatitudes earlier in this chapter. He's not coming up with new laws. He's not saying the old laws were bad, but the old laws are being completely fulfilled in him.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass away from the law, till all things be accomplished.
So this is an indication that heaven and earth will pass away. Till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or tittle will pass from the law till all is accomplished. And the number one example I think of here is so many people look at Daniel chapter 9 and the 70 weeks prophecy and draw the conclusion that that has not been fulfilled yet. I believe it has certainly been fulfilled. It was fulfilled by Jesus, because that prophecy, along with all prophecies of the Old Testament, of the Old Covenant, were completely fulfilled in Jesus. The whole point of the Old Testament was to point to the coming of the Messiah, Jesus, and it was prophesying his arrival and the establishment of his kingdom that would last forever. And all those things have been accomplished.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
So I wonder about the least in the kingdom of heaven and greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I generally don't even view there being levels of, in heaven where you have a better status than someone else. I generally view everyone having the same status. This would give the possible indication that there are levels, and the one who is least is the one who breaks the commandments and teaches others to do so. So would that include, that would be the lost people, the people who are lost. And if the lost are also in the kingdom of heaven, that raises another question. So I would love to hear your comments on these levels in the kingdom of heaven. Are those who are lost the least in the kingdom of heaven? Are those who are lost who would be in hell, who would be doomed to eternal destruction? That's an interesting concept. I would like to hear your thoughts.
For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven.
So I generally think the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees was misplaced, mistaken. They thought they were righteous when they were really just full of dead men's bones. Like he says in another place, whitewashed tombs full of dead men's bones. They've portrayed this image of being righteous, but they were really not, which is what all people are in the same boat. No one is righteous, no, not one. So how does our righteousness exceed that of the Pharisees? I would suppose and suggest that it would be simply due to humility and dependence on God. Recognize your dependence on God and be humble.
Ye have heard that it was said to them of old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. And whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of the hell of fire.
So here I don't view these as literal, strict, legalistic rules that if you're angry with somebody, then you would be in danger of the judgment. I wonder what the judgment would be there. Judgment of man or judgment of God. And whoever will say to his brother Raka will be in danger of, if you say Raka, then you go to the council. And if you're angry, then you go to judgment. And if you say fool, then you're in danger of hellfire. I think the point here is just don't be angry with your brother. Don't say ugly things about your brother or your neighbor or your fellow human. Don't have a negative attitude toward other people. Have a positive attitude toward other people, or else you should be afraid of what could happen as a result.
If therefore thou art offering thy gift at the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
So here, it's not about whether or not you're at church every Sunday morning or whatever it is. It's not about the legalistic keeping of the law. It's about how you treat other people. And you can worship and glorify God more by having a positive, loving attitude toward your fellow man than you do by offering your altar or gifts at the altar.
Agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art with him in the way, lest haply the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence, till thou have paid the last farthing.
I think this is talking mostly about, business dealings or something like that, where someone has loaned you money and you're trying to agree to terms, or have loaned someone money and agreeing to terms. It's better to come to an agreement, to compromise up front, than it is to take it to court because you don't know what's going to happen. You go to court with somebody and you may be the one found out to owe a debt greater than you can pay.
Ye have heard that it was said, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that everyone that looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
And here again, he's not saying that thou shalt not commit adultery is a bad rule. He's just saying you are only looking at the legalistic interpretation of the words when you missed the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is what goes on in your mind. What do you think about before you act?
And if thy right eye causeth thee to stumble, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body be cast into hell.
So I don't think he's advocating dismembering your body, but I think he is pointing out that we need to get our priorities straight. Focus on what's important and get rid of the things that are not important or the things that are causing you trouble.
And if thy right hand causeth thee to stumble, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body go into hell. It was said also, Whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
So as far as the whole body going into hell, I currently have the thought that hell is not a place of eternal anguish and torment, because I believe God is love and God is merciful and kind, and His mercy endures forever. I believe hell is a place of eternal destruction, where you cease to exist, where you no longer have life, where you're no longer sustained by the presence of God. Now, we can study that at some other time, but I wanted to share that at this point.
But I say unto you, that everyone that putteth away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, maketh her an adulteress. And whosoever shall marry her when she is put away committeth adultery.
Now, this is a way too complicated to go into detail here, but people certainly are too quick to jump to divorce and remarry today. It's a big study that deserves its attention all by itself. But note that you can cause another person to commit adultery. You can cause someone else to be an adulteress by putting them away. If you put somebody away, you have some responsibility in causing them to sin, because the purpose for marriage was to help the other person not sin. But when you separate yourself from the person, then you cause them to sin, and you bear responsibility in that.
Again, ye have heard that it was said to them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by the heaven, for it is the throne of God, nor by the earth, for it is the footstool of his feet, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, for thou canst not make one hair white or black.
So swearing, I believe, is associated with like putting collateral down or something, where you say if you swear by this or that, it means something, and if you swear by something else, then it doesn't mean anything. Just let your yes be yes and your no be no. You don't have to say, on my mama's grave, I promise that I'll do this or that.
But let your speech be, yea, yea, nay, nay. And whatsoever is more than these is of the evil one. Ye have heard that it was said, An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, resist not him that is evil. But whosoever smiteth thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Now that is something that is extremely difficult for people to do. For you to not take vengeance yourself. It says, do not resist the one who is evil. If someone is evil, wants to do you harm, you don't fight against them. You don't try to defeat them. You let God control the situation. You let God take vengeance how he chooses to do so. But you remain meek and humble when you've got opposition in your face trying to cause trouble.
No. And if any man would go to law with thee, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also.
So just don't go to court. Don't sue a person, and don't... and this is a general truth, I believe. It's not saying that you should never go to court. There may be some situations where you could or should, but as a general rule, don't seek to take someone to court to try to gain something in that sense. Let God be your judge. Let God be the one who gives you rewards or punishment.
Whosoever shall compel thee to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. Ye have heard that it was said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, and pray for them that persecute you, that ye may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust.
Alright, so God is the one in charge of all things, for all people, both the good and the evil. The good things that happen to people and the things that we consider to be bad. God is in charge of it all. Our obligation is to simply be humble and respectful and loving to our fellow man, which is extremely difficult to do at all times. Loving your enemies, that's very difficult. Praying for those who persecute you, not praying that they would be punished or praying that you would be vindicated, but pray that God would help them to improve their situations and attitude.
For if ye love them that love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the Gentiles the same?
So he's asking us to be different. He's asking us to be better than the common man or the most people or the natural man. Be better than that. Don't just do what the Gentiles do, but be better than that. Go above and beyond.
Ye therefore shall be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect.
All right, so I have seen this verse be misused. So if this is setting a law or a standard for us to be perfect in the exact same way that God is perfect, it's an impossible law. It can't be done. So it's not saying that. It's not setting a standard of perfection that we would be perfect. It's setting a goal and an objective, a general attitude or mindset that you should want to be like God. You should want to strive to be like God. You should want to trust God in all things. You should not seek vengeance when someone does you wrong. You should not take someone to court. You should be humble and allow God to control your life, and trust that He will take you where He wants to take you, and that you would be happy with where He takes you.